Right now, another incident involving an airplane. This time, a Delta plane lands upside down after crashing. We're talking to a local aviation expert for some insight on why this happened and should travelers be concerned. Plus, advice on how to pay off your debt. That's always a good thing. Speaking of a good thing, we're going to get into some good trouble as we reflect on the life and legacy of John Lewis, who would have turned 85 this week. You're watching The Take. Hello and welcome, I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines and look at how and why stories are impacting you and your community. Experts will share what they know, come on board and talk to us, and we'll have a little fun as well. But let's start off with the big story this morning, and that's that crash of a Delta airliner that ended up upside down in Toronto. Here's what we know so far. That flight took off from Minneapolis and landed in Toronto Pearson International Airport around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Communications between the tower and the pilot were normal on approach, and it's not clear what went wrong when the plane touched down and flipped upside down. There were about 76 passengers on board and 4 crew members. 17 people were injured. 3 people were taken by air flight to the hospital, or airlift to the hospital. Here to help us understand what went wrong here is aviation expert Dr. Lori Garrow, who at the Georgia Tech's School of Civil and Environmental Engineering. Welcome to the show, Dr. Garrow. And first of all, tell us, how would you look at this if you were investigating this crash? What went wrong here?
Yeah, so well, first, thanks for inviting me. Would like to offer, again, my condolences to everybody involved in the crash before we start. Yeah, so clearly the investigation is just underway. We don't know a lot, but if you think about driving your car, they're looking at having an accident. They're looking at a lot of the same things, like was there wind that may have tipped the aircraft? Were there gusts of wind? Was there something wrong with the runway in terms of, was it dry? Was it slick? So they'll be looking at a lot of factors that may have, caused the aircraft to lose its stability, right? To be able to flip over is really a rare occurrence.
So weather probably being the logical thing you would think of, because they said that during that crash there was a lot of wind, gust of wind up to about 40 miles per hour, and a lot of snow. Are these planes not built for that? Are they built for that kind, to withstand those kinds of winds, or no?
They are built for that. So the key thing is that planes are definitely built to withstand, the gusts of wind that were reported up to 40 miles per hour. But if you want to think about it, there's conflicting reports on whether or not there were crosswinds, right? So that's like when the wind is coming from not head on into the plane, but from across the wings. And so clearly if you have, it's almost like you're tipped, right? Right. If you come on the wing and you're coming in and it's a crosswing, it's really easy for the plane to get tipped when it would have landed, and it could have struck the wing, which could have sheared off and caused it to come over. Or if it was a crosswind that happened at the very last minute and you landed on one gear, it could have failed, which then could have tipped you and, again, damaged the wing, which would have made it more easy to rotate. So it's not just the wind itself. It could have been like the direction it was coming that could have caused it. The plane may have hit something on the wing. It seems like that wing in particular, the right wing, hit something or sheared off, which is probably what caused the tipping.
When you look at the damage, you look at it, you see the plane upside down, 80 people on board. Are you surprised that there were no fatalities here? I mean, it's fortunate, but were you surprised at all?
I mean, it's aircraft are built to sustain, these types of accidents. It was built for security. So the fuselage was fantastic. The seats are also designed to sustain impact. We're also fortunate in that you're landing with less fuel. So less fuel also means you're less likely to catch on fire, right? So right. While it is a miracle, I don't want to, minimize that. Right. I think the designers did a great job on designing the aircraft to sustain the accident and the, collision that occurred.
Doc, when you think about these incidents happening kind of back to back almost, should travelers be concerned about flying?
Repeat it again. Should the
travelers, like people that are getting ready to fly, right? Should they be concerned about it? Should there be any alarm to travelers trying to fly?
So I myself, I can just speak from personal experience. Anytime something like this happens, I will admit I do get a little bit nervous, but I always remind myself that aviation remains the safest form of, travel. And these types of accidents are usually not caused by one single thing. They're often, combinations of things, and we have gotten much better as an industry over the years on preventing accidents. So, I get back on a plane, I get in the saddle and I go at it, just reminding myself we are, as an industry, still one of the safest modes of travel.
Dr. Garrow, Georgia Tech, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day. In a statement last night, the CEO of Delta Airlines expressed his thanks first to first responders and the team members on site. He goes on to say, quote, "We are working to confirm the details and will share the most current information on news.delta.com as soon as it becomes available." All right, the search continues for a missing boater, Gary Jones, in Putnam County. Jones and his fiancee, Jocelyn Wilson, were last seen more than a week ago. Jones's wallet, along with snacks, were found in the boat. We've also learned that Wilson had her phone in her hand when her body was recovered. More cadaver dogs will be on the water today to join in the search, and also United Cajun Navy out of Louisiana is also expected to join in the search. The cost of water in DeKalb County could soon rise, and residents there are speaking out. County leaders are expected to meet today to discuss a plan that would double water bills over the next 10 years. Right now, the average homeowner pays about $70 a month for water. Under the proposal, that bill would jump by $7 in the first year and could double by 2034. County leaders say taxpayers won't fund the project directly, but they will see higher bills. If approved, the first price hike could show up on their bills later this year. All right, let's take a look at our forecast for today. Going to be a dry one today. In fact, I think today will be the warmest day of the week at 55 degrees for a high. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds on the outside. We drop down to 45 tomorrow, looking at rain, cold rain, pushing into our forecast area for the Atlanta metro area. It's up to the north where we could see some snow begin to mix in higher elevations of the North Georgia mountains in particular. There could be some slippery roads. Behind the front that pushes through, temperatures are going to drop. Coldest day of the week, 38 degrees for a high on Thursday under mostly sunny skies. We'll start off around 20 degrees on Friday morning. There will be some teens around. 46 will be the afternoon high, and then we'll gradually warm it up as we head into the upcoming weekend. So we can't wait for that. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this. High-level talks to end Russia's war on Ukraine are beginning today in Saudi Arabia. But for now, Ukraine is not at the table. Joining us now to talk more about this is NBC Washington correspondent Alice Barr, who has been covering politics for years now. And Alice, got to ask you, get right to it here. What are we hearing about Ukraine not being a part of these talks?
Hi there, Chesley. Yeah, it's a big question because, of course, Russia is the aggressor. That is broadly understood, that Russia invaded Ukraine, a sovereign territory, a sovereign democracy. And so beginning with the aggressor being the first at the table has raised concerns among European allies, and certainly Ukraine has said repeatedly that they're not going to agree to any deal that's struck without having them at the table. Now, President Trump has been very clear that Ukraine is going to be part of the negotiations. And in fact, later this week, an envoy from the Trump administration is headed to Ukraine, expected to spend 3 days there and to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. And then what we've been told by U.S. officials is that once those conversations have happened with U.S. and Russia, U.S. and Ukraine, then there'll be a move to bring all the parties together and negotiate from there. But that does not relieve the questions, these initial questions about why Russia was first to go. Europe has also raised concerns that European leaders have not been invited to the table. They held their own summit to try to figure out how to respond and sort of carve out their own lane in, negotiations that could have a big impact, certainly, on Europe.
Yeah. How realistic do you think these moves will wind up with a peace deal?
Yeah, I think perhaps the reason the Trump administration is starting with Russia is that they want to figure out what it will take from them to stop the aggression. And, maybe there's a logic to saying we're going to go in there and figure out their terms first. President Trump has said repeatedly that he believes that President Putin of Russia does want to end the war, that he's ready for that. And there have been mass casualties among Russian soldiers, as well as, of course, mass casualties among not just Ukrainian soldiers, but Ukrainian civilians. So, you know, it seems at this point that all sides sort of understand that that is where this is headed. It's just a question of what it's going to take to get there, because thus far the Trump administration has already signaled that Ukraine may have to give up parts of its territory that are already occupied and seized by Russia, that Ukraine likely will not get NATO status, which is something that it wanted. But there hasn't been any previewing up to this point of what Russia would have to give up. And so Ukraine is going to need to feel on solid footing before it agrees to whatever is being hashed out.
Gotcha. All right, let's switch gears a little bit here at home. More headlines for the Department of Government Efficiency. More terminations are expected today at some agencies, such as the CDC right here in Atlanta. What's the latest on any courtroom battles against DOJ's moves?
Yeah, so there was a lawsuit filed that District Judge Tanya Chutkan here in Washington, D.C. has been looking at, and she's given some early indication that she is not likely, in fact, to rule against Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency and the steps that they've been taking so far. She said that the parties that filed suit have been relying too much on news reports and have not yet shown solid evidence of exactly the actions that Elon Musk, that DOJ, the Department of Government Efficiency, have taken that have caused real harm. So her early indications are sort of a question of standing and whether this lawsuit has been filed in a way that's going to survive and lead to any checks of what's been going on.
All right. NBC's Alice Barr, thanks so much for keeping us informed. Really appreciate you. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Thanks.
Right, take care. Yeah, pocketbooks are tightening and our credit cards are being pushed to and, in many cases, over the limits. A new report from the Federal Reserve Bank in New York shows American household debt is at slightly more than $18 trillion. You heard that right. That's an all-new, all-time high right there. This includes credit cards, mortgages, auto loans, and student loans. Overall debt grew by around $93 billion in the last 3 months in 2024. Yeah, with about half of that increase with new credit card debt. And American total credit card balances now are at a whopping record of around $1.25 trillion. Here to make more sense of this is my good friend, Andrew Poulos. And Andrew, help me out here, man. It's hard to understand these numbers, at least for me. Does it surprise you at all?
Good morning, Chesley. It does not surprise me. It hurts me to see these kind of numbers. My pockets don't have trillions of dollars. It's hard for me to understand them as it is for you. But it's difficult. As we can see, we have one consistent factor here, which is that debt is rising, whether it's credit card debt, student loans, car payments. A lot of things are starting to go into default with car loans. So it is a bit concerning here, as to why we're having this increase and how it's going to be managed.
Is it our behaviors that have led to this mountain of debt that we're in?
Well, I think two things, right? Obviously, our behaviors do lead us easy to the plastic, meaning the card. We go shopping. What do we pull out? We pull out the credit card because cash is almost non-existent in society these days. The other challenge is, I believe that a lot of folks their wages aren't keeping up with inflation. So inflation has just spiraled the problem to levels never seen before.
How do you control it? How do you control the debt?
It's difficult, right? Because, once you get in credit card debt, now with rising interest rates, a lot of these credit cards are at 29%, which is, extreme. And the problem is if you don't have the money to pay the credit card and the interest starts tacking on, how do you challenge that, to bring that debt down at some point in time? And the longer it takes, just the more interest that consumers are paying. So I think it's challenging, particularly for wage earners who are just barely getting by right now.
Andrew, I have some friends who believe in paying for everything with a credit card and then just trying to pay that off monthly. Is that a good thing? And have you heard of that before?
Look, I've got, I see people all the time where they charge everything on credit cards. They have the money, they pay it off either because they want to get points or sky miles. And that's not necessarily an issue. The issue is when you charge something on a credit card and you can't pay it off, or you think you're going to pay it off in 1 or 2 billing cycles, and then you can't. And before you know it, you're into the debt for 6 or 9 or 12 months, and you're paying more in interest than what the purchase cost you.
Is this thing going to get worse before it gets better, you think?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, Chesley. It just really depends on the economy and where wages go moving forward. We do have a new president. We have a new administration. We're still waiting to see what the policies will be moving forward. Obviously, we saw President Trump coming in to into the White House from the very first week that he's pressing the Fed Chairman Powell to lower interest rates. But the Chairman Powell's not going for that just yet. We'll have to wait and see. But I think we have some more pain ahead of us before things do get better.
Really don't want to hear that, but hey man, you always look nice. You know my favorite color is purple. I see the tie and the pocket square matching. You're looking good, my friend. You're going to put me in debt trying to keep up with you.
I wore this just for you, too, Chesley.
You're going to put me in debt trying to keep up with you.
No, I'm trying to keep up with you. You know, you always look dapper, so I'm trying to get there. But I changed to the purple today. We'll see for next week.
All right, appreciate you, my friend. Yep, that's our financial expert right there, Andrew Poulos. Really thank you and appreciate you coming on the show. All right, let's take a look out over the Atlanta skyline. And what do you notice right there? Yep, that beautiful gold dome shining bright reminds folks that, yeah, this has been the hub for Peach State politics since 1868. Yeah, that gold dome, however, also is a reminder that Atlanta is one of the nation's best capital cities to call home. Wallet Hub puts Atlanta at 5th overall livability out of 50 state capitals. Can you believe that? Yeah. Some of the reasons why is that we're ranking so high is that Atlanta is the 6th strongest median household income amongst the capitals. It also boasts the 3rd highest percentage of adults with at least a bachelor's degree, and it's the 4th best state where incoming millennials, newcomers coming into the state. You know, we also say we full, but yeah, we can bring in that money. We want the money. The rest of the top 5 look like this. At number 1 is Austin, Texas, followed by Madison, Wisconsin, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Boise, Idaho. Boise, Idaho, huh? You want to live there, huh? Well, Augusta, Maine ranks at the bottom of the list. They're in 50th place. Not Augusta, Georgia. Talking about Augusta, Maine. Who would want to live there, right? Hey, don't go anywhere. We got plenty more stories for you. This is The Take on 11Alive Plus. This Friday will mark what would have been John Lewis's 85th birthday. Just before the former civil rights icon and congressman died in 2020, he set up a foundation to keep his message alive, not only his message alive, but also to inspire the support of what he called good trouble. Joining us now on the show is Deidre Everson, the president and CEO of the John and Lillian Miles Lewis Foundation. First of all, Deidre, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Chelsea, for having us. We appreciate you and the 11Alive News team for joining us today.
Yeah. All right. So listen, talk to me about John Lewis, the man himself, and that philosophy of his of good trouble.
Well, one of the things I'd love to tell you, the John and Lillian Miles Lewis Foundation, as you mentioned, was founded by Congressman Lewis to carry on amazing work that he believed in and to continue his legacy that he and his wife, Lillian Miles Lewis, believed in of purposeful living, and to support and amplify the rising voices of future generations.
So is it set up for just anyone who would have access to this?
So the celebration that we're doing today is all about celebrating an amazing civil rights icon, Congressman Lewis. One of the things that we're doing is allowing everyone. We designed a celebration for this Friday, which would have been Congressman Lewis's 85th birthday on February the 21st. What we're doing is celebrating him in a way that allows anyone to participate. And so by joining in our hashtag John Lewis selfie, you can post a picture that you may have with him, whether that was one of those wonderful selfies you got a chance to take with him directly, or a picture you have that's in your home or in your phone that you took at some other location that may not have been a selfie. We also want people to try to join us by grabbing one of his books. Congressman Lewis wrote many books, and I encourage everyone to read them. You can take a picture with one of his books or anything bearing his name or his image.
Congressman Lewis passed away in the summer of 2020. How do you think he would feel about the way that the world is unfolding since the 5 years that he's passed away?
I think one of the things that when I think about Congressman Lewis and his legacy, he was always one that kept the faith. He wanted people to stay encouraged and to continue to keep their eyes on the prize. I think in this time, he would still be out there making sure that we kept the faith and we worked towards the world that we want to see. I think that's one of the most important things. He wanted people to remember their power, their ability to engage and inspire and find a way to make this world a better place, more loving, more fair, and more just, the things he cared about and fought for all of his life.
Remind us again when the celebration is going to take place.
So this Friday, we want everyone to join us for the hashtag John Lewis Selfie. Participate by posting a selfie that you have, a picture with one of his books, or a picture with anything you have that bears his name or his image. We want everyone to have a chance to participate and celebrate with us. All of the posts will be showing on our website, so we encourage you to go there and listen and look at all of the amazing posts that people are doing from around the world and be inspired and connect to a community of people who are sharing their love on John Lewis's birthday.
Deidre, I have two quick memories, me personally. He signed a couple books for my sons back in the day, and he did so at Ebenezer, the old Ebenezer Baptist Church, where I got a chance to interview him, which was great. And then I remember when the song Happy came out and there was video of him dancing. Those are my two favorite memories of him. Could you share some of your memories?
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of meeting Congressman Lewis a couple of times during my career. And unlike many of my amazing board members, I've never had the chance to work alongside him. But I will tell you, each time I was in his presence, I was inspired. I was motivated to help make my world a better place and to get involved and to stay focused on things that I believed in and wanting to make sure our world was more loving, more fair, and more just. And I would tell you, the happy image that we have on social media, it still has some of the highest views of any one of the posts that's ever been done about Congressman Lewis. So I encourage people to look at it. It will make you smile.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen it, one of the best memories ever. I mean, he was dancing around. He was having such a good time. It just was so deserving, with the legacy that he's left and the things that he has been through.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was one of the days that he was in the office. And I believe the staff told me it was actually his birthday.
Oh, wow.
And the interesting thing is that Congressman was enjoying celebrating his birthday. This celebration, our virtual hashtag John Lewis Selfie, is designed for us to send up enough love that he feels it in heaven. So Absolutely. Thank you all for sharing it with everyone.
Absolutely. Deidre Everson, appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Yeah, you got to check it out, folks. You got to check it out. If you haven't seen him dancing to the song Happy, it'll make you smile. It'll definitely make you smile. We're back with something to think about. You're watching The Take. We're back after this. All right, talk about a marsupial with a bad case of the munchies. Officials in Nebraska had to hospitalize a possum they say ate an entire chocolate Costco cake by himself. Yeah, the chomping chocoholic was found at a homeowner's back porch, panting heavily, surrounded by the cake remains. And since then, the possum has gone viral. Officials say it will be fine. It'll be released back into the wild after a little bit of rehab. I don't know how you rehab a possum. And why was a whole cake found on somebody's back porch? All right, possum. All right, before we go, here's something to think about. With all the plane accidents lately, quite naturally, it may be concerning about flying, right? If you have a flight here in the coming days, you may be thinking, hey man, I'm going to change my plans. Well, keep this in mind. The odds of being involved in a plane accident is 1 in 11 million. Compare that to the 16,200 car accidents that happen on U.S. roads every day. Every day. The odds of being involved in a car accident is 1 in 360. That means you're more likely to be involved in several accidents in your lifetime and 0 on a plane. So flying anytime soon, I think it still seems to be the safest way to fly. And we heard that from our good doctor earlier in the show. Something to think about. Something to think about. And while you're thinking about it, here's a good moment of zen to leave you with. Have a great day.